something you don't see every day. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders agrees with Tesla CEO and Trump confidant Elon Musk about the bloated defense budget. Here's what Bernie tweeted on Sunday. Elon Musk is right. The Pentagon, with a budget of $886 billion, just failed its 7th audit in a row. It's lost track of billions. Last year, only 13 senators voted against the military-industrial complex and a defense budget full of waste and fraud. That must change. Matt Gaetz wrote on X, "Welcome home, Bernie." And MAGA Mornings host Alan Jacoby posted, "Is this part of the realignment I keep hearing about?" Now, this comes just a few weeks after President-elect Donald Trump appointed Musk, along with entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, to lead the Department of Government Efficiency, where they will advise on how to make cuts to various federal programs and departments. Now, while Musk has yet to outline the specific plans the commission is going to engage in, the tech billionaire has repeatedly criticized the Pentagon's F-35 national security program, and the pair wrote in a Wall Street Journal op-ed last week, the Pentagon recently failed its 7th consecutive audit, as we noted, suggesting that the agency's leadership has little idea how its annual budget of more than $800 billion is being spent, which is an outrage every year when the audit is yet again failed, that our government does not know all of the money it's spending on our defense, that sometimes aid being sent to foreign nations is misplaced. That was a big story last year, the year before, that some millions was discovered that they didn't know about, and like, oh, off to Ukraine it goes. The defense budget is not the entire U.S. budget. There's a lot of the social safety net is also expensive too, but we do have a very large defense budget, and many Americans probably wonder, is this actually making us safer, or does this empower federal bureaucrats to engage in a hostile foreign policy that actually makes us less safe? That's where I think the agreement is between Elon Musk and Bernie Sanders. But I appreciate people like Bernie, like Ro Khanna, like Jared Polis, and others in the Democratic Party who have come forward to say, well, let's work with the new administration where we agree with them. Let's cut government waste that everyone agrees is a problem.
That's how it's supposed to work. You agree and work on the things you can collaborate on, and you disagree and critique on the things you don't want to work together on. And I've been waiting for honest progressives in Congress to come out in support of DOGE specifically for addressing accountability in the Defense Department. This has been known for a long time, how many times the Defense Department fails its audit. It's been failed 7 times. And hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars are being spent. And what people don't realize is that because of this military-industrial complex, you have a whole ecosystem of military defense contractors that have an interest in certain programs continuing and being propagated. And as a result, that often takes on more importance than what's actually right for the American people, for our common defense, to be able to deter armed conflicts. And so that's what gets lost here, is too often the Defense Department spending is about a jobs program for special interest groups and not about preparing us for future conflicts in the future. And so that's why I'm thrilled to see this alignment between Elon Musk and Bernie Sanders. There should be more like that. Mm-hmm. And if the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, actually does a real audit of the Defense Department, brings into light what's really been going on, and accounts for some of the billions of dollars that have been wasted or lost, I think that's a very positive development.
I think it would be hugely positive. I talked about this as well earlier in the context of the FBI. Kash Patel, the new appointee, saying that the agency has gone well beyond its mission, that, why don't you have FBI agents out in the field doing more of the kind of routine arresting of criminals that is supposed to be the agency's mission, instead being engaged in this vast intelligence work. So we might see improvement there if he's confirmed, and across the board. What I appreciate about people like Bernie Sanders is he's obviously very ideological, and there's a lot with his ideology I don't agree with, but because it's consistent and principled, it does sometimes overlap with things that I think would be good. And other Democrats, not just Democrats, partisans in general, will be like, well, this person is saying things I agree with, but they're not on my side, so I can't credit them in any way. I have to find some fault in what they're doing, or I have to say, well, this is not really, they don't mean it, or they're insincere, whatever. Bernie just admits when Republicans say something he agrees with. He used to do this with Trump when he'd be asked, but Trump is making a pitch to the working class. And Bernie would say, well, I don't believe he's going to do any of the policies that benefit the working class. But yes, Democrats have betrayed the working class, and this is what you get. That was his message in the wake of Kamala Harris's loss, that this is not surprising, that you have the backbone of the Democratic Party, working class people, now more distrustful of Democrats than they are of Republicans, even though Republicans haven't changed what the platform is with respect to labor and unions very much. It's more of a cultural friendliness, but the Democrats have utterly failed to deliver.
You're right. It's a cultural friendliness, and as a result, what we're seeing is a uniting of populists across the left and the right on this issue related to the Defense Department and enforcing some accountability. The progressive news host of the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, made some waves for his alignment also with figures in the MAGA world, and it was specifically on this issue of how we can address the bloated Pentagon. And he said, I've got ideas, and people in the Trump world asked him, what are your ideas? And he came back saying, basically, I've never been asked by the Democratic establishment for my ideas and things, but I'm being asked by people on the MAGA side. And they actually responded saying, hey, we're talking about that. He wanted to close the revolving door, an issue I support very fervently, between senior Department of Defense officials and going into organizations that lobby them. And this happens in many agencies, but very much happening at the Defense Department. We got to close that revolving door. And suddenly people in MAGA world are saying, hey, we're actually thinking about this. Now, this gets back to a core issue that you highlighted in a previous segment, which is you were pleading for the MAGA world to actually deliver on some of these promises. If they actually close the revolving door at the Defense Department and some other agencies, as RFK Jr. has talked about, that's going to be a massive win for them.
Yeah, my critique of the new Republican interest in respecting civil liberties and cutting government is that it ends up being a little all talk, not action, a little selective. Like they notice when the system or the deep state or whatever we want to call it is harming Trump in some way, then they're big mad about it. Reform is promised. Reform doesn't happen. And it's like, well, you got to care about everybody's civil liberties violations. I'm mad that they're routinely spying on or wasting our tax dollars. And it's not just about getting Trump, like you got to broaden your focus a little bit. It's about an apparatus and a machine that has taken on a life of its own and has its own interests that are not aligned always with either party, although I think they do align more with where the Democratic Party has moved. As we talked earlier about, suspicious people are now all Republicans. People who trust the system are all Democrats increasingly. But the system has gone wrong in many ways and is not accountable, is misspending funds and doesn't have to do anything about it. 7 failures over every year after year, on the financials, and no accountability. We just want some accountability for that. That should not be too much to expect from our government.
And what we're about to learn in these upcoming months is who on Capitol Hill is honest and who is a pure partisan tribal warrior.
Sure.
And for the tribal warriors, you're going to see them contorting themselves into taking opposite positions from the ones that they've taken previously, versus the honest people who will find areas of alignment, particularly on some of these more populist, kind of system-suspicious issues. And I think that's going to be interesting to watch. I think for voters at home, this is an important space to look at as we go into the next election cycle, because we as voters should be rewarding those who are honest brokers and who are willing to work across the aisle on areas of agreement. Yeah. That's what Congress is about. Like, you can't have a democracy if you're not willing to have the conversation. On the flip side, for people who are just naked partisan warriors and they'll take on whatever position it is to oppose the other side, those are the people we got to get out of office.
I see Andrew Yang on X posted, I'm enjoying the breath of the anti-bloat Doge caucus. So he's excited about the Bernie-Elon team-up, as am I. More yet to come on Rising. Next, we'll look at what Cheryl Hines and RFK Jr. have been up to. Stay with us.